You know, the Halloween franchise, its best feature, I think, is to copy Friday the 13th. Well, hello everyone. Of course, it is me, Scott, that guy that will occasionally upload a video here on YouTube. Yeah, I'm finally getting caught up, I guess. Work's slowing down a lot more slower than I'd like to admit. But, you know, that's not what I'm here about. No, I'm here to talk about, well, something I think would be interesting. In fact, I know it would be interesting. It's just something that's just occasionally would come across my mind if the subject was brought up. And I thought, you know what? Let's make a video so I could share this wonderful idea with you. Yeah, Friday the 13th is completely reinventing itself with the prequel series, something that the Halloween franchise really needs to consider. And if it wants to continue making money, consider it soon. Yeah, the Halloween series has been struggling with its most recent entries, which I think we could all agree. But the incredible popular slasher series could still work if it followed in the footsteps of Friday the 13th. Now, except for Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, every Halloween movie follows Michael Myers as he goes on a murderous rampage. Unfortunately, this, formula has gone stale after all these years. During this time, Friday the 13th, well, they have been preparing a way to reinvent itself, so I gotta give props to them. As we all know, John Carpenter's 1978 Halloween film was an incredibly influential film that almost single-handedly started the slasher subgenre. With the series still releasing consistent, entries to this day, Friday the 13th is just one of the many slasher franchises that attempted to, capitalize on Halloween's success. Basically, all it really did was, they were swapping out Michael Myers for Jason Voorhees and Halloween's Haddonfield, Illinois for Friday the 13th's Crystal Lakes, New Jersey. Friday the 13th found a similar success, getting its own litany of sequels to the point where many views just started to fall off. However, this up-and-coming Friday the 13th project is completely reinventing the franchise, which I think a lot of fans, Friday the 13th fans and Halloween fans are going to enjoy. Now, how is the Friday the 13th reinventing itself? Well, here's the basics. Friday the 13th has always been, as we all know, Jason Voorhees, terrorizing teenagers, typically, guests of Camp Crystal Lake. Although the formulas, sometimes shaken up by movies like Jason X. However, the franchise is finally being completely reinvented with this up-and-coming Friday the 13th prequel series called Crystal Lake on Peacock. Yeah, I'm always forgetting that part. Crystal Lake is completely shifting focus away from the traditional Friday the 13th stories, and the decision that the Halloween franchise, I firmly believe, needs to follow. I mean, there's so many streaming services out there with great series. Why not? Well, the Michael Myers, the slasher stories, they have been done to death. Halloween needs a new story to tell, continuing the trend that may very well save the Friday the 13th franchise with this Crystal Lake series. Crystal Lake will be widely different from the previous Friday the 13th movies. The series acts as a prequel, expanding the universe of Friday the 13th and Jason Voorhees by, him rampaging into the events before the original. No, it was after the original film, dumbass. Interestingly enough, the series is only pulling from the first Friday the 13th, disregarding any of the franchise's many sequels. Unfortunately, this means the iconic elements like Jason Voorhees and his hockey mask, it probably won't appear. If this series is highly successful when we do get to see Jason, that's probably when we'll see the more iconic role. At least, let's hope so, right? With the series' main hook gone, many have left wondering what Crystal Lake will be about. Well, it seems most likely that Crystal Lake, it'll be about, the Voorhees family, including the events that led up to the first film. Jason's mom Pamela Voorhees is the villain, in the first Friday the 13th movie, with the killer being so mad, so driven that this is what caused her to go nuts because witnessing her son's death. Yeah, in the first film, Pamela, she is not really, we don't really see her towards the end, which a lot of you know. She goes on this explaining really why she was motivated all the teenagers that came Crystal Lake. Now, the Crystal Lake series could tell the story, expanding all that and finally putting the film The Tales of Jason's Drowning. I just think this is going to be brilliant, right? Well, Crystal Lake will be a massive change for the Friday the 13th franchise, focusing someone else besides its iconic killer. Halloween has the perfect setup to copy Friday the 13th. The many Halloween sequels have yet reinvented the franchise. It's quite obvious, especially compared to what Friday the 13th is doing here with Crystal Lake. However, getting rid of Michael Myers and trying something new would be, I honestly say, the perfect way to breathe new life into Halloween. A trick that the series could borrow really from Friday the 13th. Now, Halloween, it already has the perfect setup to show, very much like what they're doing with Crystal Lake. Expanding on the franchise's universe, even if it's not a prequel, but I think it'd be better if it would, and I'll explain later. While future Halloween projects could focus on new killers like, Corey Cunningham, aka Opie. Look, I believe there's a more interesting story that was already set up, and that's with, Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. Halloween 3 Season of the Witch introduces the Silver Shamrock, company, which specializes in, manufacturing these Halloween masks. In the third film, the Silver Shamrock's company, Halloween masks become incredibly popular amongst kids, with many trick-or-treaters wearing these masks of, the skeletons, the witches, the jack-o'-lanterns. They had to wear them on Halloween night. However, Silver Shamrock turns out to be an evil company that plans to revive an ancient era of witchcraft by sacrificing children, in a pagan ceremony. Each mask is equipped with this microchip containing fragments of the magic crystal or crystals that could kill these poor children. Sadly, Silver Shamrock's plan partially succeeded there towards the end. For a relatively minor part in the Halloween franchise, the Silver Shamrock Company has a lot of lore to it. Think about it. They use these pagan, magical, incredible advanced crystals, advanced technology, killer bugs, androids, and so many more elements that are entirely foreign to the rest of the Halloween movies. Now, despite the Halloween reboot trilogy ignoring almost everything from the sequels, the Silver Shamrock masks, as we all know, appeared in 2018 film and Halloween Kills. Honestly, I don't remember if there were, Silver Shamrock masks appearing in Halloween Ends. Why? Because I personally would like to have that whole entire film erased from my memory banks. In fact, if there were a genie to pop up right now in this video were to grant me 3 wishes, one of them would have completely erased that film from existence. Now, I'm sorry, but to me that film was the biggest piece of shit. Moving on, Scott. With the Silver Shamrock still being around in most recent films, it seems apart that the Halloween franchise has more it wants to explore with these Silver Shamrock masks, or the idea alone. Now, a project focusing on the company instead of Michael Myers would be a great way to reinvent Halloween. The Silver Shamrock series would follow Halloween's original version. That'd be one way. Interestingly, having a series or a movie focused on Silver Shamrock would follow like John Carpenter's original, vision of the Halloween franchise. Halloween, as a lot of you are very much aware of, was initially meant to be the horror anthology series, with each entry focusing on the story related to the holiday, Halloween. However, the emesis popularity of Michael Myers led, him to returning to, of course, Halloween 2. Although Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, it does carry on the franchise's original vision, The film's mixed reception led to Michael Myers being, reintroduced into all the future sequels. Yeah, I gotta admit, back when that movie came out, I was pissed off too, and I was happy to see Michael returning. But anyways, I love the iconic role of Michael Myers. The original idea, the boogeyman, the shape, what John Carpenter and Deborah Hill created. But sadly, Michael has been, humanized time and time again over the years. Recycling the structure has been overdubbed more than enough. It's just gotten boring. It's kind of like, how many times are we supposed to be tricked into seeing the invention of the wheel? Don't get me wrong, I'm truly thankful for that invention, but it's time for more innovation. Now, though, Michael Myers has been into way too many Halloween films, but by focusing on the Silver Shamrock again would take the series back to its roots. As far as just take it back to its roots. The funny thing is, Friday the 13th Crystal Lake spinoff is sticking to Halloween's original vision more than John Carpenter's franchise itself. I think this Crystal Lake series is going to bring more interesting ideas to the Friday the 13th franchise more than any other recent entries, as it's finally going to bring something new to the franchise. Halloween, there's no doubt, would benefit a lot by learning from the Crystal Lake series. Think of the Silver Shamrock show, not only allowing Halloween to reinvent itself, but also returning to its original vision. Now, as I was, going on about this, I also thought, what if the Silver Shamrock show or series was an actual prequel? Well, let's just change it up here a little bit, since that's what we're used to, the Halloween franchise. But what if they took the series and made the Shamrock a prequel to 1978's Halloween? Now think about it. Let's say it goes back to the 60s, where those masks were being invented by the Shamrock, just like what we'd see there, but obviously with the series being dragged out more. And then towards the end of that series, or that anthology, that's how Michael was created. Now, I myself prefer to not know what Michael's about. I wanted it to be a mystery. I wanted him to be the boogeyman. I wanted him to be a shape. But since this is what we have to do, and this is where we're going, then let's make, the Silver Shamrock kind of like a series that guides into it. I think that would be something really cool. I mean, just imagine towards the end of that anthology, or that particular part of the Silver Shamrock, we've got a child that we don't see his face, but he's just like all these other kids around Haddonfield, Illinois. They're staring into a television set or listening to the radio. The radio, because we got to go back to 1963. Most homes don't have whatever. There's a kid who has on the face clown mask. The witchcraft turns this young boy into the real boogeyman. And of course, he goes home and he stares at the house, the famous Myers house, and voila. I don't know. It's just some ideas that I thought, I think a part of me is jealous that the Friday the 13th has gotten their shit together, but at the same time, I'm excited to see it. And there's another part of me that has a hard time admitting here on this channel, I'm sick and tired of seeing the wheel being reinvented over and over and over again. And it could have had a lot to do with that last film that just made me pissed off, because as far as I'm concerned, and I'll say it to my dying day, Halloween Ends was nothing but a huge slap in the face to all the diehard fans that has stuck around year after year, patiently waiting for something new, and it was just a disgrace. And I know there's some of you out there that enjoy that film, but I don't even care to go out and buy the Blu-ray copy, to be honest with you. Nah. Well, folks, that's going to do it for me. I personally think this would be a great idea. I mean, let's face it. Today, what is the big thing? It's the streaming services. It's the series. Hell, there's a series that I think is extremely unrated. You don't hear much about on Apple Plus, The Servant. Oh my God! If you haven't seen that, you are missing out on some fantastic. It's some of the best drama. It's so well written. It's like the best thing since Breaking Bad, as far as I'm concerned. And it's a thrill. It's creepy as hell. At least I think so. In other words, it's going back to here. How about I say Silence of the Lambs? An intelligent film. A movie that respects its audience. You know, they know you're intelligent enough. And they're not going to treat you like you're a dumbass while you're watching this film. That's what I think that could be brought to the Crystal Lake series or a Halloween series on, streaming service, or the Shamrock series. Whatever. I'm just having fun here. That being said, I am shutting up, and so you know what to do. Subscribe, like, share, and of course, if you want to leave a comment down below, I'll get around to reading it. We may not disagree, but chances are we will. Why? Because you friggin' like the shit I put here on YouTube. That's right. All right, take good care of yourself, and remember to wipe your butt because it's starting to stink out there again. Take good care of yourself. Bye.